Hello, everyone. Today we're going to take a look at our DocuSign for Salesforce integration. Now, it's important to note that everybody's integration from DocuSign and Salesforce is going to look a little bit differently, but today I'm going to go through a pretty generic example of a patient intake use case, so you can get a feel for what the platform looks like and the functionality and capabilities that come along with that. We're going to take this process in a few chunks. We're going to first start off with looking at the sending experience, taking over the role of that patient coordinator, getting this packet out to a patient. We're then going to switch roles into the role of our patient, Tony Stark, today. And we're going to take a look at how he can sign from anywhere and how we guide him through that signature experience. We'll then wrap around and look a little bit at what happens in Salesforce after this is all completed and Tony has signed off on his paperwork. And lastly, I'd like to cover a little bit of the other automations that can be input into your DocuSign for Salesforce integration that can really help to streamline even another step up from our standard experience. So let's dive in. We're first going to start by looking at how you can streamline the building and sending of this patient admissions paperwork. So as I mentioned, I'll be in the role of a patient coordinator today, getting this out to our patient. And let's take a look at how you can reduce our administrative efforts to get these out the door while keeping your team central to Salesforce, where they keep all the patient data and sometimes live and breathe. So I'm here within my contact record for Tony Stark, and I want to highlight a few different things. First of all, we have very minimal information on this patient. The name, the email, looks like we also have title information and a mobile phone number, but we are missing our date of birth. And we also want to be sure that this mobile phone number is correct. So we're going to want to make sure that he's looking through that and able to make changes as needed. With DocuSign for Salesforce, I can pre-populate this data onto my form very easily, eliminating all manual rekeying of data into the system, which can really open the door to risk when manually manipulating this sensitive patient data. I can also initiate this form directly from Salesforce, reducing the time it takes to print and package this envelope or download and move throughout an email-based system. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to click on DocuSign, and this is just going to pull me into a more simplified DocuSign experience. For those of you that are familiar with our standard DocuSign e-signature product, it's going to look a little bit more simple, but very familiar. We are auto-populating Tony's name in here. I can certainly add other contacts as needed, but I'm going to use a DocuSign template today and just get this bare signature from Tony. So I'll access my DocuSign template library right here from within Salesforce and grab that patient intake form. Now, here is my opportunity to specify a nice message, also confirm that I'm setting up automatic reminders to take off another admin task of me poking Tony to get this done. And at this phase, I can go ahead and send because I'm using a template and my fields are already in place. But I do want to show you a little bit under the hood. So I will click next here and showcase what data we're pulling in from Salesforce. Now, if you recall, we had a phone number that existed that we wanted to have Tony double check here. We also want to be sure to pull in his birthday and append that to the record as well. So these fields I have set up to relate back to my Salesforce record. So we're able to flow our data to and from Salesforce. All right, this looks great to me. I'm going to go ahead and click on send. And within seconds, all from within Salesforce, I've sent out this contract and I can go back to business seamlessly, which also helps to improve your employee experience. All right. So let's transfer into the role of my signer here, Tony, and let's take a look at his experience. As you can tell from the employee side, we've routed this out very quickly, able to really reduce the print, package, stamp, and mail process that you might be going down. But let's take a look on the actual patient experience side and see really how this can satisfy Tony as well. Like most patients, Tony is not by his mailbox or laptop all the time, and him being able to sign off in a coffee shop or on a bus or eating dinner is really key to getting this paperwork back in a timely manner before his appointment. So let's take a look here. Tony could sign this on his phone or tablet or on the mobile app if he has that as well. He is just on his laptop, so we'll go ahead and access it from his email at this time. But just note that providing this document in a way that works for Tony helps to improve turnaround time while also keeping Tony as a happy camper. And as he opens the envelope, you can see some data is pre-populated for him, and that just saves a lot of valuable time having to refill this out. Additionally, he can see some fields are required and some are optional with the red and gray outline here, and it makes it really clear exactly what's expected of him, and he appreciates that easy customer experience. Lastly, we do have validation baked into these fields as well. And that can be really nice to assure that your data is getting back in the right order every time so that you're not going back to be sure that, that digit's actually correct within a very sensitive piece of information like a birthday or a social security number. You might note as well, we actually have a formula field that will calculate the age for Tony, so he doesn't even have to complete that. It's these types of little things that really make the experience and add a lot of time saving, across this big form that we're working on. All right, so Tony completed his birthday. He's now going to update his phone number because he did get a new phone number. So I'm going to update this with a series of zeros here. But otherwise, just working through this experience. Note, if he tries to finish at any time without completing the required portions, it will direct him to what he missed to be sure we're getting this document back in good order. All right. Tony's all done. And everything we just walked through assures that it's done faster and that Tony can get the care that he needs faster. So let's go back into our Salesforce environment here. As a recap, we got that document out very quickly. Tony was able to sign it very quickly as well, since we met him where he was at and he was able to sign not being near his laptop or his mailbox or anything like that. Let's take a look back in Salesforce and see what happened in Salesforce, how we're able to see this document and what information has changed. So I'll refresh my page here, and there's a few main things I want to point out. First of all, the status of the DocuSign envelope will append to our record. So here we can see that Tony has completed his envelope. If we click into it, we can see the time that it took to complete. And this is also where we could take action on the envelope as well, such as voiding or correcting. Scrolling up a little bit, our completed document is automatically saved back to our record as well, saving a lot of valuable time that's usually spent on admin tasks, such as uploading and downloading or manually rekeying in data. And finally, we should see that we have an updated mobile phone number and we also have a date of birth on record, making sure that this data is proper and accurate every time. Now, let's take a look at how we can actually report on these documents within the system and get some more transparency into everything that's going on in here. We do have some default reports that will simply come with your DocuSign for Salesforce instance. And that enables you and your team to really get a feel for how your environment is working. We can get our completion rates from here as well and understand exactly which are in play and click and understand those documents and the associated records. All right, navigating back to Tony Stark here, I want to highlight the experience we just went through in sending is really one of our more manual experiences. We do have several different layers of automation that can really reduce the number of clicks from, 3 or 4 to even down to 1 or 0. So let's take a look at that. One way you can implement this is implementing a one-click button where we already know the document, we already know the fields and the recipient, and all we're doing here is clicking on a button to get that kicked out the door very quickly. This can be very handy for standard documents where you know that the data is accurate. For example, a HIPAA release or disclosure, a patient intake form can be a good sample for this as well, even an NDA form that doesn't have a lot of customization. And just like that, with one click, we also have a new contract for Tony for signature. The last lever of automation, which tends to be a little bit more advanced, is actually an automated send of a contract based on some sort of trigger within Salesforce. One example of this is that if we have a checkbox that says ready for contract and we check that box, we will kick off an email invitation to Tony and he'll just have that in his inbox ready for him. So no clicks even required. All right, quick recap. We talked a little bit about how we can merge data in and out of Salesforce, how we can append DocuSign records back to Salesforce, and view the status of our documents as well here within your central source of truth. So this is DocuSign for Salesforce. Thanks so much.